Hi, friends, and welcome back to another episode of This is for the Soul, and I'm your lovely host, Brianna Shadee. On this podcast, we talk about all things mental health, personal development, spirituality, girl talk, you name it, we're going to talk about it. Back to our regular scheduled programming. So it honestly has felt like forever since I've just came up here and just sit here and talk, because if you have been following my podcast and you're not new here, then you know that I was recently working on my end of starting over podcast series for my ebook that I just released. It is a 10-part ebook about how to end these cycles of burnout, and it's some good stuff. It's some gems. If you're interested, the link to that, along with some other goodies, are down below in my Stan store in the description or the show notes. So the vibe for this episode is giving very comfy, very cozy, chill. It's a Sunday when I'm filming this, and for this episode, I want to reel it back in and be real, okay? I wanted to talk about our mental health and the state of the world, because right now the state of the world is shitty, and there's no prettier way of saying it. There's no sugarcoating it. I know that on my podcast I'm a big mental health advocate, and I talk about giving yourself grace, finding the light, being the light, finding your purpose, but honestly, it's a lot. And I still do believe in all of that, right? But at the same time, I just wouldn't feel right sitting here not acknowledging that when so many of us are barely holding it together, myself included. The people are struggling. I am struggling. And if you have been feeling down lately, I just want you to know that you're not alone, okay? And it's very important to know that there are people out there who may be going through something similar, and connection is key. Connecting with our friends, our family, our loved ones, talking to people, even if it's not a therapist, because everybody can't afford therapy. And I am still very big on therapy. I need to get back into therapy myself because I've been slipping up, and it's hard sometimes to show up with motivation, momentum, and joy when every time you turn around, it's a crisis, it's a disaster, it's the politicians playing in our face, it's the economy crashing, this news line, that news line, everything meant to cause fear, chaos, panic, and commotion. And just to add insult to injury, we have finally entered that season where everything is slowly resetting and pressing pause. The nights are getting colder, the days are getting shorter, and everything is just slowing down. And it's great to want to be in that space. It's great to want to take on the slowing down, reset, recharge mindset, but at the end of the day, it's difficult when it's not really expected of you. And that's why people say that this specific time frame is not really meant to be the end of the year. This is the time where we are meant to pull back and not do as much work and not push ourselves as hard as we are, because that's just not how our natural chemistry is built. But of course, we're human beings, and human beings have a lot of pride and a lot of ego, and there are a lot of systems built in place to keep us on full speed and wanting more. Here's the thing. I've been trying to really remind myself that after every storm, there comes a rainbow. And right now, we are in the thick of a storm, which means that this is the time more than ever to not neglect ourselves. Because believe it or not, there is a higher agenda that benefits off of us when we are miserable, fearful, desperate, and when we're hopeless. Because misery is profitable, fear is profitable, disconnection is profitable. The three biggest chokeholds on our society right now are money, fear, and control. Those three things are enough to keep most people stuck in survival mode their whole lives. And survival mode keeps you drained, too tired, too distracted to dream, to heal, to rise, and to change up things. Because when you're not in a state of rigid mentality, you're able to see outside of the lines. You're able to change up the way that you think, the way that you feel, and your paths, and be okay with that. But this is why it is important for us to be very intentional, very mindful, to take care of ourselves and to take care of each other. That in itself is resistance. And that is saying, no, you don't get to control me through fear. No, I will not let my money determine my worth. No, I will not let the system convince me that my joy is not valuable, because your joy is very much so valuable. And that brings me to something that I really want to talk about today, and that is the loneliness epidemic. This is real. This is not something that's just being tweeted about. It's not something that people are just speaking out on. It has been deemed a national health crisis. Since the pandemic, even after lockdown ended, the sense of isolation has lingered. It's stuck with people. Communities fractured. And even the technology that's meant to make us feel connected, and these big services and tech companies, they actually benefit off of our isolation. Because if we're isolated and we feel like we need to be self-sufficient all the time, what not better way for you to spend your money, use a delivery service, purchase a product, and so on. Now, there's nothing wrong with being independent and self-sufficient, okay? However, I think we just need a healthy level of it, because it's gotten to the point where isolation has felt like a default method, and people are choosing it to such an extreme that it's really poisoning their soul, because they're disassociating themselves from everything and everyone around them because they want to be isolated all the time. And I've been down that path. Isolation is not fun, and it's not something that should be glorified, because it's like, yes, it is okay to be lonely, but when you want to just cut yourself off from everybody, or when you feel cut off from everything and everybody, that's when it becomes a problem. And sometimes people use it to fill a void, because it feeds a sense of emptiness, and it forces people to face harsh realities of the matrix and feel like we all need to exist just to make money and chase opportunity. Because that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people usually will say, I do nothing but sleep, work, eat, go home, repeat. Because you don't do anything else outside of what is expected of you to do. If it's not bringing you opportunity, you're not doing it. If it's not making you money, you're not doing it. And when you're in that headspace, it feels endless. It feels uncomfortable. And then you start to ask yourself, like, is this it? Is this really what life is? And because it feels so heavy, a lot of people just tend to shut down, and they stop caring about anything beyond essentials. Money and opportunity, as I was saying. So if it's not, and that's a very sad way to live, because in order to make money, you have to go to work, and then to chase the opportunity, you have to hustle. But where does that leave your soul? Where does that leave your relationship? Where does that leave your spirit? Are you fulfilled? Do you have any joy at the end of the day? And a lot of the times, after a long day, when we sit down and look at all the things that we did, we're not happy. I know there have been plenty of times where I've been like, damn, like I'm doing all of this, but I'm not happy. And once you start to realize that, or address the internal issue, that's when things get a lot better for you. And I think the real danger of this epidemic is not really the loneliness, but it's the fact that people have normalized it so much to the point that we're kind of normalizing life as if we're like machines that just press repeat every single day. And that's not what life is about. The loneliness epidemic, a lot of people, like, money is meant to bring you happiness, but a lot of people rely on money so heavily that the fact that there's not enough of it to go around, people take that and feel like, damn, if I don't have enough money, then I can't be happy. And unfortunately, that's not true. It's not true, because that is the one mindset that is keeping us stuck. That is the one mindset that is going to keep you in isolation. It shouldn't matter the amount of money that you have to determine whether or not you want to have fun and enjoy your life. Because if you constantly just sit around and do the same thing every day and not take initiative to do something different, then hell yeah, your life is going to feel like you're just a robot. You're just a machine. And I've had to learn, like, pivoting outside of my normal routine, doing other things, actually gaining the courage to meet other people and put myself out there. It's not as bad as it seems, because my anxiety and all the things out of my head might make me feel like, damn, like, I don't know what to expect out of this. But you never know until you actually do the thing or go to the place or meet the person. So that's just how you have to think about it. And that will kind of kick some of that loneliness. But this is just a reminder that your soul is not here just to work, pay bills, and die. That's what they want you to think. But that's not the case at all. You deserve connection. You deserve joy. You deserve happiness. You deserve to rest. All those things you are definitely deserving of. Because as human beings, we create our own experience. So collectively, we have the ability to shift our experience, to shift our consciousness, and make life something better than how we see it now. And I want you to sit with that for a moment. I want you to sit with the fact that you don't have to live this way. Because if you've been in a space of isolation and numbness and even hopelessness, I need you to know that you are not alone. So many of us are there, and just by naming it, saying it out loud, addressing the issue, you're taking your power back. Here's where I'm at with it. Even if the world feels like it's crumbling, and if fear, control, money seem to have a grip on everything, I just have to remind myself that I'm worthy. And I have to just continue to pour into myself as far as take care of myself. Because there are times where I will neglect my self-care or little things because I feel like I'm just not worth it, or I just feel like I don't have the money to do it, or I just can't. And honestly, like, getting my nails and feet and all that stuff done is a luxury, okay? But being a DIY girly, I will always be a DIY girly down to the core, because there are so many ways to make yourself feel good without spending money. And that's just something that we as a society have to ingrain within us, because money is a energy. And it's something that is not meant for us to chase, but it's meant for us to find. It's meant to find us. And unfortunately, with the things that are going on in the way of the world, money has become an issue for a lot of people. And it's hard out here in these streets. But never let money determine your worth or your value or anything like that, because at the end of the day, it does not matter. Showing up for yourself is not about forcing yourself to be happy every single day, but instead it's just choosing little small acts of resistance to show yourself that you're important, that you matter, and that you care. And not even just yourself, other people, because we all gotta have each other's back. We all gotta have each other at the end of the day, because we're all we got. Like, especially in America. Like, we're a country, one band, one sound. But I just want you to know that the small things, they matter, they add up. They're the crack in the matrix that might give you a sense of freedom. They are reminders that we are more than what we produce. So as we step into this slow season, these shorter days and colder nights, I want you to be gentle with yourself. And I want you to remember that the storm, it doesn't last forever. And I also want you to know that even in the heaviness, okay, you still have the light. And I also want you to know that even in you still have that light that shines within you, and the light that has the ability to reach others. You have love to give and receive, and you have the ability to make choices. And maybe, just maybe, if we all chose connection over isolation, care over control, we could shift and see this energy move together. We could start to shift this energy together. Because at the end of the day, this is for the soul. That's the end of this episode. I love you guys, and I thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tune in to don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to tune in to another episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to stay tuned for more episodes. Bye.